Hello and welcome to the first installment in the Horzine ZED disposal guide. My name is Richard and I will be your instructor. In this video we'll be taking a look at arguably the most deadly specimen you will encounter in the field, codenamed the Fleshpound. Fleshpounds were one of many experiments into developing super soldiers, and these specimens were routinely injected with both muscle growth stimulants and adrenaline cocktails to build bone density and muscle mass. Throughout their testing, they proved to be highly unstable and resulted in numerous injuries and fatalities to Horzine staff. They were, however, deemed to be unsuitable for combat and were consigned to the lowest levels of Horzine's labs. Mounted on their chest is a device that would inject various hormones to control the Fleshpound's temperament. However, this also acted as a life preserver of sorts, injecting massive amounts of adrenaline into the Fleshpound system whenever it was in pain. When it did come time to eliminate them, the devices in their chest triggered and allowed them to break loose of their restraints and kill the laboratory staff. Fleshpounds in-game will have the most health out of any non-boss enemy, being able to absorb roughly 20 to 30% more punishment than Skrakes. Like most larger Zeds, the amount of health Fleshpounds will have will depend on the amount of players in your squad and what difficulty you're playing on. The health of a Fleshpound at any given difficulty can be calculated very easily with some basic math, as their health will change linearly as both difficulty and the number of players increases. The base number health value for Fleshpounds is calculated from normal difficulty with one player. As the difficulty is increased, it will add 375 HP per level, giving it base intervals of 1125, 1500, 1875, and 2325. The change in health by the amount of players can be calculated by adding 50% of the base health value per difficulty per number of players. So, on hard, Fleshpounds will have a base health of 1500 and will increase by 750 for every new player that joins, not including the first player. In simple terms, Fleshpounds will have 3.5 times the amount of health when there are 6 players as opposed to 1. Head health, on the other hand, does not scale with body health. With one player in the game, head health will be roughly 35 to 40% of the overall health. Once the server is filled with 6 players, it will drop to about 25% of the Fleshpound's health. Fleshpounds, in addition to having a massive health pool, are also extremely resistant to most damage types. With the exception of a few weaknesses, he will only receive half damage from incoming attacks before hitbox multipliers. These exceptions include explosives and piercing attacks, which will deal an extra 50% damage, and microwave attacks, which will deal their normal base amount. Fleshpounds have 4 major hitboxes to consider as far as damage is concerned: the head, chest core, gauntlets, and else. Both his head and chest core will incur a 10% damage bonus for incoming attacks. Gauntlets, on the other hand, will reduce damage by 50%. Hitting any other part of the Fleshpound will not affect the amount of damage received. While not as predictable as other Zeds, the Fleshpound's behavior is fairly routine. Upon their arrival, they will release an extremely loud roar, and will usually be within sight in a matter of moments. The Fleshpound will then target a player and walk slowly towards them until they either make contact, become enraged, or are killed. The adrenaline pump in their chest will activate and trigger rage mode if one of two things happen. Either enough time has passed since they have made contact with a player, or if they sustain enough damage within a short amount of time. Once enraged, they will not stop until they have either struck a player or have been killed. However, EMP grenades can momentarily stun them. Do note that when he is charging, he will block his chest with his gauntlets, preventing you from striking his vulnerable core. Fleshpounds, like all other specimens, will become frustrated and therefore become permanently enraged between 2.5 and 5 seconds after the remaining Zeds in a wave reaches 5. Remember that this effect is permanent and it will not reset when they make contact with a player. Whether you're playing solo or with a full squad, Fleshpounds should be dealt with very quickly, as their high durability and incredible power can quickly wipe out your entire squad. Try to deal as much damage as you can before he becomes enraged, as he is much harder to kill when he is charging. On normal and hard, or with only a few players, you might be able to kill him before he even has a chance to charge up. But if this is not possible, you and your squad should do your best to put distance between him and try to bring him down before he can strike. On higher waves, in medium and long games, 2 Fleshpounds will make an appearance regardless of difficulty. This can present a challenge especially for solo players who may not have enough durability to absorb 2 Fleshpounds in addition to other enemies. Thankfully, they do tend to spawn with each other, so classes with explosive grenades such as the Commando or Demolition can quickly deplete their health and possibly kill both of them by chaining explosions together. Perks that lack an explosive option generally fare better at absorbing damage, and thus can rely on their primary weapons to bring both of them down. Playing as the Berserker, you're the only class that can truly stand up to the Fleshpound, with the ability to quickly evade combat and even parry or block attacks. When playing as a team, you should be the one getting in close and absorbing his attacks while the rest of your team provides fire support. Using the Smash perk unlocked at level 20, you can even knock down Fleshpounds with a heavy attack to the head. Fighting on solo, the Pulverizer will be your weapon of choice, dealing additional explosive damage with heavy attacks. Even on Hell on Earth, it will only take a handful of swings from your hammer to bring a Fleshpound to its knees. The heavy attack also has the added benefit of doing area effect damage, which can eliminate any nearby trash in your way. Commando's weapons are less geared for dealing with a Fleshpound, so it is advised that you focus primarily on scoring headshots and clearing up trash. However, the Commando's grenades deal some of the highest explosive damage out of all the perks. A level 25 Commando using all of his grenades can deal up to 2800 damage very quickly, assuming all of the grenades land at the Fleshpound's feet. After that, a mag or 2 from the Scar, plus supporting fire from your squad, can quickly bring an end to a Fleshpound. When facing a Fleshpound by yourself as the Commando, make sure to clear any sirens nearby as they can neutralize your grenades and leave you in a bad spot with just your assault rifle. Try to put some distance between you and the Fleshpound after throwing your grenades, as the extra breathing room can make it a lot easier to pace your shots if the grenades don't kill him instantly. Supports have a very powerful 1-2 punch that can quickly bring down a Fleshpound. Not only do they have decent frag grenades, but they also gain up to a 50% damage bonus, putting them on par with the Commando's high explosive grenades. In addition to this, shotguns are able to deal massive amounts of damage very quickly and without much need for accuracy. The AA-12 in particular is excellent at dealing with larger enemies, having a higher fire rate as well as having a large 20-round magazine. In solo, supports don't have to be as liberal with their grenade usage, as their primary weapons can deal significantly more damage up close than the Commando's assault rifles, and with much less effort. Especially on lower difficulties, you can often bring down a Fleshpound before he even makes contact with your AA-12 alone. The Field Medic will largely focus on keeping the team alive once Fleshpounds do arrive. However, their assault rifle can chip away at his health before he does make contact. The Medic's grenade can also be used to dual effect if you have a Berserker brave enough to step up to the Fleshpound, giving him additional health and dealing some poison damage to the Fleshpound. If ZED time is triggered, level 25 medics can use Sedative to temporarily immobilize the Fleshpound, leaving him vulnerable to attack. Playing solo with a medic affords you the luxury of being able to absorb tons of damage thanks to improved armor, but also allows you to regenerate your health more quickly. That being said, since medic weapons are more utility than stopping power, killing Fleshpounds can take some time and require you to leverage your superior mobility in order to kite attacks. Don't forget that vaccination can also restore your armor as well, allowing you to soak up additional damage. Those brave enough to go into battle as the Demolitions perk will actually be very useful at bringing down Fleshpounds in a squad environment. Not only will your sticks of dynamite deal more damage than any other grenade, but assuming you have the On Contact perk will be much more consistent. If they manage to survive that, the RPG in the hands of a level 25 Demolitionist will deal upwards of 1300 damage with a direct hit, which can bring down even the toughest Fleshpounds in just a few shots. Playing on solo is an entirely different story. Demo weapons require a bit of distance to use properly, however, fully loaded you will move painfully slow, making engaging Fleshpounds a difficult proposition. Stalkers in particular have a nasty habit of eating RPGs that were intended for a much deadlier target. To overcome this, try to take advantage of terrain and engage Fleshpounds from an elevated position if possible, and try to make good use of your dynamite to avoid any RPG mishaps. As a firebug, Molotov cocktails will only deal minimal explosive damage, however the residual fire can eat away at health over time. Most of your damage dealing abilities against Fleshpounds will be from the microwave gun however, especially the alt fire which deals explosive damage as opposed to microwave damage. Those who are level 20 or higher should consider using the splash damage skill, which will double non-direct damage from explosions from firebug weapons, nearly cutting your time to kill in half against Fleshpounds. Even on solo, this is the preferred tactic. Kiting is more important however, as the microwave gun might not be able to kill a Fleshpound before he makes contact with you. Another skill that can improve your odds against Fleshpounds is the ZED shrapnel skill, which will cause some enemies killed by your weapons to detonate, incurring additional explosive damage. Numerous times have I had a nearby clot hit by the microwave gun's blast detonate and kill a charging Fleshpound. The final class currently featured in game, the Gunslinger, is the ideal class to kite raging Fleshpounds, as he not only has improved agility, but also the ability to stumble and knock down enemies through the use of skills and the 500 magnums. If your team lacks a berserker, Gunslingers can be the next best thing, distracting them while your squad focuses fire on the enraged Fleshpound. Even if your squad is wiped out, and given you have enough ammo, the Gunslinger can easily clutch against 1 or 2 Fleshpounds on even hell on earth. If you enjoy playing solo as the Gunslinger, you should have no problem taking down Fleshpounds, as even when they're enraged, you can often outrun them with a high enough level. Even if they do get close, a few shots to the leg or chest can stumble them and allow you to quickly fire and reload while putting more distance between you and the Fleshpound. Fleshpounds are definitely not to be trifled with. However, teamwork and coordination, as well as a basic understanding of how the perk functions, will make fighting them much easier. If you are being chased by a Fleshpound, slamming doors behind you can put some extra distance between the two of you, giving you valuable time to engage. Far too often, players will be reckless when fighting Fleshpounds, enraging them prematurely and putting their entire team on the back foot. Do not underestimate them, as being careless or unprepared will likely lead to you being pounded to a pulp. Thank you very much for watching. Join us next time as we take a look at how to dispose of the Scrake. But until then, farewell.